All right, welcome to the PrydeCast episode numero 3, or Trace if you're Spanish, if you're into that. But yeah, today we got a really great show lined up. We have literally the co-founder, one of the co-founders of Pryde, and we're going to get into a lot of the details of that during this episode, his origin story. Maybe today too would be a good time to cut back into like what Pryde exactly is, because I think it's something that we talked about before the podcast today that we just kind of assume a lot of people know what Pryde is, and I think this episode you're going to get to know exactly what Pryde is and what it's about. I think that's really, really important that everybody knows what the foundation of that, because without that we don't have the PrydeCast. So I think that's really important to get into today. But yeah, we have our guest today, Ethan, founder, owner, COO of Pryde. He likes to stream in his downtime, and he's currently going to school to be a secondary teacher, if I remember correctly, or is it elementary?
Elementary.
Elementary, yeah. But yeah, man, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Well, you did a pretty good job covering it. Currently a college student. I'm in my senior year, about to move on to student teaching. It's been kind of a crazy last 4 years. Founder of Pryde, we've started this year. Besides that, a big gamer. Been playing games since I could hold a controller. Shout out to my dad. Besides that, I play golf, and yeah, that's about it. I'm not very a complicated man.
Nice, man. I respect that. I respect that. So, let's talk about jumping into to gaming in general. Like, what was your first game? What brought you into gaming? And we can talk about a little bit just how it led up to learning about what teams were, organizations were, or even just content creation as a whole. So, if you want to start from the beginning and just tell us like what got you into games.
So my dad and my mom are complete opposites. They were never together, so they lived separately. So every other weekend when I would go to my dad's house, he had a PS2, and he used to be a big gamer. He doesn't really play as much anymore. So that was really my first introduction to games, was PS2, playing Madden against my dad and just getting my ass whooped all day. He showed no mercy. And from there, he just kind of introduced me to other games. Went from Madden. I remember probably my favorite game of all time is Star Wars Bounty Hunter, which was like the Jango Fett game on PS2, and it's actually reverse compatible on PS4. So I have it on my PS4, and I go back and play it every once in a while, and it just brings back such good memories. So really, my dad got me started into gaming, and game for the longest time. Started playing Call of Duty and Modern Warfare 2 on the Xbox 360, and that's really the game that drew me into like wanting to stay up all night every weekend playing games at my dad's house and not sleeping, was Call of Duty. And then eventually in Advanced Warfare is when I learned about esports and competitive gaming for the first time, and it kind of sucked me in, and I started watching like the pro tournaments and learning about what organizations were and teams, and it was just a wrap from there. It was sucked in, and I was addicted.
So what brought you into? So it's interesting because we all come from kind of a different field. Where at least me in particular, I actually started really getting into gaming entertainment through like Call of Duty montages and like sniper montages and just kind of like very like polarizing type of gameplay that wasn't even necessarily competitive. So it's interesting to talk to somebody who strictly got into gaming entertainment through esports and through competitive gaming first. So it's really cool to see that. And did you kind of have any aspirations to want to compete as well, or did you kind of like do some like game battles or like some of these like slow like lower end competitive Call of Duty matches, and kind of have that aspiration before you decided you thought you may want to try to build a team, or how did that go about?
Yeah, so in Advanced Warfare was really when I started like wanting to compete and play in like game battles, and I was like on a team and played in tournaments and stuff. And I had that dream for a long time where I wanted to be a pro Call of Duty player, and I wasn't good enough. Simple as that. I was okay. I had a couple of good games. I went to a LAN in Black Ops 4. Played in a lot of tournaments and stuff, but once Modern Warfare came out, I just really didn't enjoy the game and the route that COD was taking, so I stepped away as a competitor. And I'd owned a couple of teams before that, just as like small time, like didn't know what the hell I was doing, just by myself. And those obviously didn't go very well, so I stopped those, went back to trying to compete, and then was like, competing isn't really for me. I don't really have the time with school. I don't really have the drive to play this game, and I don't really want to switch to a different game and like start all over from square one. So that's when I got more into like working in teams.
So it's interesting because you say you've made a couple teams and then they just kind of dissipated. I assume it's completely different from what you've done with Pryde now and to where it's at. It's just like a totally different level. But like, what was it like whenever you made the first two teams before they were to just dissipate or crumble away? Is it really just as easy as like, oh, I'm just gonna make a Twitter handle and make a social page and then just whoop, there it is? And can you tell me the differences between doing that and starting at the beginning and kind of what you learned in before you started Pryde and like kind of as you started Pryde as an
Yeah,
organization?
yeah, so really the problem with the first teams is that one, I didn't like know what the hell I was doing. I was just like literally what you said. I made a Twitter page, came up with a name, found like a logo somewhere, had one made, and was like, all right, here we go, let's go. And then I'm like, all right, let's get a Call of Duty team. That's the first thing we gotta do is gotta get a Call of Duty team because I love Call of Duty and all that. And it was like it was destined to fail from the start. One, because there's just like there's no money there to put at it, and there's no like the branding wasn't good. I thought it was good at the time, but looking back at it now, I just kind of cringe. Like, what was I thinking? The graphics weren't good. It wasn't like like we have Achieve now, who makes just amazing graphics, and the whole design department, amazing graphics and stuff. There just wasn't anything like that, and it was primarily esports first instead of content and like personalities first, like Pride is.
Well, the biggest thing is connections too, right? It takes time. You have to just kind of like live through this culture for a while and just kind of be engulfed in it and make these friends and connections before you can actually bring it all together and start like a coalition or a group or something, something to really come together, because you can't do all this yourself. I mean, it's impossible. Even as a streamer, just like as a streamer, I used to think like, oh, it's fine. I'll do it all myself. I'll edit all my YouTube videos. I'll make all my graphics for my thing. I'll just learn how to do it. But then you quickly realize that there are levels of this shit. You can't just jump in and do everything. Like you've got to find a group of people that each have their own skill sets, that each have their own passions, and bring them together. And was that there the first time you tried to build those two teams? And if not, what was different about when you started Pryde in what I believe was January?
Yeah, January. Those first teams, like it was all me. There was a third team. So how I met DJ is a funny story. So I ran a team with a couple of buddies of mine who are still really good friends of mine, and we were called Virtuous Esports. Actually, here I have one of our jerseys over here. I can show you what our logo looked like. I thought it was cool. So this was Virtuous Esports. This was our logo at the time. This is one of our jerseys. Uh, So I ran them for a little bit, and then I was, through just marketing and making connections in the community, I met somebody else who really wanted me to work with them. So he actually bought Virtuous and myself out from the organization, and I went over and worked with them, which is where I met DJ. And then after a few months of working there, we both decided it was in our best interest to leave and to start our own thing. And really the difference was is DJ and I took the time to build a support staff and have people around us that are knowledgeable in like the different areas that could make up for what DJ and I like don't know. Because I know a lot about esports, but I don't know jack shit about being a good streamer or what makes a good content creator. Like it's just something I was never into and I never really learned a lot about. So by building up those leads in that management staff, we were able to be a lot more successful from the start than those other teams where it was just me or just me and a couple of buddies.
Can you tell us a little more about who DJ is and what part DJ plays into everything for anybody that's listening and that may not know who DJ is particularly?
Oh, yeah. So DJ is Meyer. He's the other co-founder of Pryde. It was me and him. We worked for an organization called Senior. Uh, that's where I met him originally. We became close through that experience. And then when we both decided to leave, at first we weren't set on starting our own team, and we kind of had a couple conversations. Like, I think we could do this, and I think we could do it right and do it different and actually build something successful. So we gave it a shot, and here we are now.
I think that's the one thing with esports that I found working in esports from the other side of it as like a graphic designer and in some management aspects is that like you really have to have a good core foundation or else you're just another Twitter handle. And if you don't have a solid plan, you're just another Twitter handler. Like I think especially when it comes to Pryde, the one thing that drew me into Pryde initially when I first found out about it, because I found out from Gummies, because I met Gummies randomly through Megan. And I just think that you guys had a very clear direction that I thought was different than a lot of these esports orgs, because the esports orgs, they want to just hop on the hottest game, whether it's Fortnite or Rocket League, and they expect that team to grow their fan base. And I think that's really hard to do. But when you take the approach that you guys are taking, that we're going to talk about, with being content driven and personality focused, I think it's a lot easier to meet people and grow a community that way.
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, teams that want to hop on and like just hop on the hottest esport and hope that grows their brand, it's possible to do, but you have to have an insane amount of money to just go and immediately get a top team or top players in that respective esport. Like when you're starting at our level, when it's just two guys will work at Walmart and go to school, it's not like we have hundreds of thousands of dollars to go buy out a top roster and like really build a brand around them. We had to start from scratch.
Well, and even right now, I mean, it's not. I would assume you're not paying your players currently, just because I mean, there's no money for that anyways. I mean, it's all kind of like a passion project, and it's all kind of everybody who wants to be a part of the group who sees potential in everything, right?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
esports is really for the level we're at is like pay for entry fees. So like into tournaments or like CS:GO has league fees, which is only like $100 for a season, so it isn't something terrible. And then we like we'll pay like the casters and stuff, but it's definitely something that we're shooting towards. We eventually want to be one of those like premier teams, like 100 Thieves, where they have like an LCS team, they have one of the top Call of Duty teams. They're, in all these big things and are providing good pay to their employees and their players and stuff.
Yeah, and this is something we want to get into. But before we do, I kind of want to take a step back and ask you kind of about how you went about with DJ and joining in creating Pryde, and kind of where you started and how you built it up from there. Because I'm sure I mean it's great now, but like I'm sure at the beginning there were some pitfalls and some issues you came across and some people you probably had to part ways with, and just there was a lot of trial and error even in what it is now, or in what it was then to what it is now. So can you kind of give us a little backstory about how you guys started that, the people you may have come across along the way, and kind of how it became to where it is now?
Yeah, so a lot of people are going to be disappointed by this, but it took me and DJ about, I'd say, 5 minutes to come up with the name. We found the logo on a website. It's called premade.co. So it was like a website that's just for like logos and stuff. And we found our original logo and we're like, hey, that looks really cool. What do we think of a name for this? And it took us about 5 minutes. We came up with it and we're like, screw it, let's run with it and see where this goes. And actually, a lot of our early staff was like Allie and Rose, our early stream leads, came through for connections that DJ and a couple other people that were with us at the beginning of Pryde had. And we just got super lucky that they saw what our vision was and decided that they wanted to, try and do it with us. Because most teams, when they launch, they're just, like you said, they're just a Twitter handle and they're just there and they're like, hey, we're here now. And what we did different when we launched was we had a full support staff. We had a roster of streamers. We had content creators. We launched we launched with this. I think we launched with a CS:GO team. I don't remember. It seems like so long ago now. But we launched with all of this stuff rather than just, like you said, being a Twitter handle and just being there. We made sure in the background to find that staff that had the same visions that we had, and somehow convince them to try and do this with us. And it's been perfect ever since then. Honestly, we haven't really had a lot of pitfalls or any like major setbacks. We've had maybe a couple things here and there. We're like, maybe we shouldn't have done that, but it's nothing like major.
And yeah, I mean that's everything, right? I mean, you're always going to make some sort of mistakes on the way, even today, even now. You know what I mean? Like there's always going to be slight mistakes that you make and things you'll probably have to adjust to. So that's totally normal, I would assume. And in regards to building it up, and you knew initially that you wanted it to be obviously esports, but also content based. I mean, even though you said you may not really have like a huge idea of the span of content and streaming, which is why you brought on Rose and Allie. And so what did you, even though you don't have that the vast knowledge of that, I'm sure you had envisioned something in regards to streaming and content creation and entertainment in that facet. What were you envisioning then, and how is it kind of come into play now? And is it kind of on its way to where you want it to be, or do we still have steps to take before we're at the level of entertainment value that you foresee or have foreseen for Pryde as far as streaming and entertainment?
Yeah, so I guess my like view of a streamer always was because I was a competitive player. I watched other like competitive players that were like amateurs like myself that were my friends and stuff. So I didn't really know in straight up amateur like especially Call of Duty players not entertaining streamers in the slightest at all. They're just there to compete and that's understandable. that's what their main goal is. They're not trying to entertain you and wow you and hold 1,000 viewers. They're just trying to compete and get better.
But they're also entertaining in that way, though. They're entertaining in their gameplay, not entertaining in their
Yeah.
personality, because their dynamic gameplay is entertaining in itself.
Oh yeah, that's their main focus. That's how they bring their entertainment to the stream. Is some people they're not great at the game, but they have that bubbling personality that just captures you and it makes you want to watch. They have that extreme high level and talent in a game that you watch and you're like, holy shit, I wish I could do that. So that was really my exposure. And then I started watching into streamers. Then I started watching more streamers when we brought on Allie and Rose and like what kind of streamers they are, and started watching more and was like, okay, this is something I could see myself like really like sitting down and watching. Like this person, like they have good gameplay mixed in with an amazing personality, and their stream is clean, is high quality and fun to look at. And that's really what our aim was for, is to find those high quality, entertaining streamers that, you know, are just genuinely down to earth, good people that are fun to have conversations with and hang out with and just game with and talk to on a daily basis. And I think we've done an absolutely amazing job of that so far. And I think we're where we want to be, and we're on the track to continue to be where we want to be in the content scene. And we have just the most amazing roster of streamers and content creators, editors, designers, anything. And anybody involved with Pryde is an amazing person and is genuinely fun to talk to and like spend your days with. And that's what our goal was from the beginning, and we're killing it so far. And I can only imagine we're going to continue to kill it from here.
And something I wanted to talk about, because you pinned on something that I think is super important. And you talk about positive and like good people. I think you said the word good people, or the phrase. And that's the first thing I noticed whenever I started interacting with a lot of people in the Pryde group before I was actually in Pryde myself. And I'm always weary about teams. I'm always weary about organizations, because you know, I came up in that Call of Duty community when I used to make content for Call of Duty, you know, sniper montages and stuff, and I did, you know, a little competitive here and there. And the one thing you would notice about every single team is that there were huge egos involved, huge egos, bad attitudes, very much of like a group mentality of like, if you're not in the in crowd, fuck you. And I realized immediately that wasn't the case with Pryde. And as much as like I'm always just like so standoffish, I'm like, nah, this is too good, something's wrong, somebody somewhere is doing something shady. And as much as I wanted to look for problems, I mean, I did. I looked for everywhere. I was like, where's the issue person? Where's the problem? But I never found it. And that's one thing that's really great about Pryde. I think that stands out from a lot of organizations and teams is the good people. Is that there are genuinely good people. And yeah, I mean, look, you may have personalities that may not particularly mesh well, but that's human nature. That's people. You'll never be able to avoid that. But it's really great how you've found like a good group of people to create like a positive mentality amongst everybody.
I'm glad you haven't found out our dirty secrets yet, Nash. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm looking. Oh, best believe I've got my inspector hat on. I'm fucking looking for you, Ethan.
No, but that's like a problem I see with a lot of teams in the community, is they'll seem great and then something will come up, and then out of that one thing coming up, another story comes out, and then another, and then it's like the floodgates open. And it's just like, oh, this team was really not a great place. It was kind of a shitty place the whole time. And that's what we're really trying to avoid. Like, we're not trying to like hide secrets from anybody. We're not here to make money or get clout. Me and DJ truly just want to see everybody that's a part. I saw you shake your head. Shut up, Stevie. Me and DJ really just want to create a place for creators to grow and have fun and make new friends. And I know for me personally and DJ too, I don't care if I get successful off of this. If I can see the streamers and content creators and editors and everybody that's in Pryde grow and start to become successful and blow up, I'll be happier than any like dollar could ever bring me.
Well, and it's about transparency, right? I mean, we've seen recently a couple organizations, which we'll chill and not say their name, won't say anything. But there are a couple out there may have not been so transparent, may have a couple issues, couple of Omegle mishaps, and you know, next thing you know, they're nowhere to be found. There are also some other organizations that, you know, had tyrannical leaders or people who maybe didn't have the best intentions in mind, and you know, they're gone now. And it seems that the truth always tends to come out, even if the group or the team or the organization becomes successful. There's always people can tell. there's always something that leaks through the grapevine, and I mean, you're always going to have problem people, right? I mean, even within Pryde, you're going to have people who will end up slipping through the cracks, get into the team, and come to find out they're complete douchebags, and it happens. Everybody has that, and then you just, but the thing I've noticed is full transparency. It's like, okay, well, this person did this, we don't want them here anymore, this is why. And it's great how I just feel like everything's transparent within the team, and I think there's a lot of teams that aren't like that. I mean, I had an offer from a team which I won't name before I ended up joining Pryde, and they were okay. They were pretty decent sized, and they had a presence from Call of Duty a while back. And I talked to their I assume they're you, right? I talked to their you, they're Ethan, and because I was just like, I just want to talk to them, see what they're about, and just kind of get their mentality. And within 5 minutes, I knew he was full of shit. And if he listens to this, he probably knows who he is. Sorry, dude. But look, I can tell 5 minutes in that this dude was completely full of shit and that his intentions were not valid. Like he did not have good intentions.
Mm-hmm.
And so you really can easily tell pretty quick if somebody's full of it and if they don't really want the best.
Yeah, I think that's like another reason that we have such a good like team of people is when we have meetings with people about potentially joining. Like if you talk to them for a few minutes in Discord, you can kind of get that vibe of like how they actually are. Like they can seem one way on a stream and then they get into a private call and they're a complete opposite way. You're like, okay, maybe this isn't quite the right fit. And talking about like transparency and stuff, I think it's also just awesome how everybody in Pryde holds each other accountable. Like they're gonna, if you do something that's stupid, somebody else in the team isn't just gonna like help you sweep it under the rug and be like, hey, that was kind of messed up. You shouldn't have done that, or like trying to help people out, and even just how much our members in the team will just go to war for each other. It's especially in the management chat. If you piss one of us off, it gets a little feisty in there.
Well, yeah, man. I mean, there's real camaraderie, and that's great. It's good to see, and it's good to see people, just everybody coming together and trying to make something great. And I think I think we're at you guys are really at the best place you could be for how young you are as an organization. I mean, you guys are super young. And the growth that's accumulated in without any sort of backing of any like huge figures within the scene, I think is pretty insane. So it's cool to see that it's grown the way it is, and it's still steadily growing. So and I'll turn it to Stevie after this question, see if he has any others. But I had one question in regards to esports, because I mean, and we'll probably get down a deep hole in esports. But as far as esports right now with Pryde, what do we have? Because I'm actually still a little bit in the dark as far as esports, and kind of when we can talk about what your plans are in the future. But as of right now, for the team, what kind of esports do you have, and do we have, and do we plan on just doing specific esports, or kind of esports entertainment, and trying to get not only teams together, but maybe trying to have the teams kind of become their own personalities, that way you can get to know the players, like something Optic does very well, in regards to like really letting the personalities of those particular team members shine.
Yeah, so for esports right now, we have CS:GO, Rainbow Six, and then we have some Apex Legends competitors, and then we recently just brought on, which is a competitive Clash of Clans team, which really just kind of appeared out of nowhere, and I still don't even really, that was DJ's business. I really let him handle that, so I'm still kind of getting the full scope on things, but that's something really cool to kind of get into that not a lot of teams do. But yeah, so for main esports, CS:GO, Rainbow Six, we have Apex Legends competitors. Um, we really want to help these players and build like content around them. That's a big thing for us, is we don't just want it to be a tweet saying, hey, these guys are playing, which is kind of what it is right now, but it's just unfortunate. Like we're still growing and learning like how we want to make this content. Like, hey, this team's playing, we should go watch them. We want to integrate them into like normal Pryde content and help connect our fan base to our teams, so they know who we are. Like you said, Optic does an absolutely amazing job of it, especially like with the trivia videos and stuff that they do on their channel all the time, which is something we kind of want to start doing, is building those more personalities and allowing, I wouldn't say allowing, but affording the esports players an opportunity to like say, hey, you may be an esport player, but come do this video with our streamers and content creators. Like we want to involve them more into our content than they are right now.
I think it's a great idea. I think that's a fantastic idea, and that's, I think that's one of the biggest problems, is these competitors, they're probably so great, but they haven't had the time, like in the limelight, in regards to just being seen by a lot of the fans, maybe the fans that may be more on the content side opposed to the competitive side. And that's cool. I'm looking forward to stuff like that. Like I would love to do some sort of thing where it's like we do like a tournament and like half streamers and half esports players on a team, and they are like we have like a partner or something. Like that'd be so cool to like see that happen, and then also be able to kind of like showcase though that particular player. And as well, what about the competitors? Do you require them to stream, or does that not matter as long as they're doing well?
No, they don't. We don't. We're never gonna force somebody to stream if they like their equipment isn't good enough or they just simply don't want to. We're not gonna force them to stream. It's completely up to them. If they do, it's great. Like we're gonna promote them like any other streamer or content creator or person in the team. But we're never gonna like sit down and say, "Hey, we need you to stream." Like you're not. You're doing this and this. Like you're competing great, but we need you to stream so we can get something else out of you. It's really all I care about is that they're doing whatever they can to be the best in the game that they're competing in. So if it's Rainbow, I don't care if you stream or if you're doing all this like extra stuff. Like if you come into the match and you perform how you are supposed, like how you want to, and you're happy with your performance, I'm happy. As pretty much as long as you're happy, I'm happy.
Well, it's good, man. It's good to hear, and it's really cool to kind of see you trying to or you wanting at least to merge like the two together and kind of have everybody come together on the esports side and the entertainment side. 'Cause I think that's really cool. And it'd be really fun to like make some sort of content with some of the esports guys. I feel like that'd be a blast. Stevie, anything on your end as far as anything so far?
I think the one thing that I kind of wanted to talk about too was like I know right now it's kind of a half and half focus. Do you ever see yourself maybe pivoting at one point and going full one way or full the other, where you're maybe all esports or maybe all just entertainment? Because I think entertainment has a lot of benefits, but also esports is that growing melting pot of just popularity, because you have all these people that are investing and it's getting mainstream attention through like ESPN and other outlets like that. Do you ever see yourself like maybe one day being like, you know what, I think we need to shift?
I don't really think so. I think where we're at right now, which is kind of like trying to have that 50-50 focus, is the perfect spot to be because, like I've said with previous organizations where I failed, is being that full pivot 100% esports, no content. And those have failed. And I think you can obviously you can do 100% content. That's a lot of teams in the community that we're in. They don't really have those esports, and they're just content, which is not a bad thing to do at all. I just think in my mind personally, we'll kind of tread that 50-50 path, and then as we continue to grow, um, it'll be my job, me and Frizzy, our esports director, it'll be our job to build up that esports side more and make us more competitive at a higher level. Because I think right now it's definitely our esports are I don't want to say at a low level, but they're more of an amateur level in terms of like the leagues and the level of teams that we have, and our content. I'd say our content is on par with some of the best teams in like the content community at the moment. So really, it's as we continue to grow and we get more like financial backing, if we get some sponsors or we find a miracle investor, like if anybody out there wants to, invest like $50 million, DM me. But yeah, as
Any
we start to
Persian
get that,
princes out there?
yeah, yeah. As we continue to grow more, our focus will be on raising our esports to be on that elite status, along with what I believe now we have an elite content side, an entertainment side to Pryde.
Do you think that like a good way to maybe facilitate more of that too is like maybe using that opportunity to drive content with the esports? Like, like like for instance, like I know we have esports teams. I know very few of the esports players, so maybe making content fused around them where we get to know an aspect of the team, or that player is maybe spotlighted a bit, so you can get to know the personality to help drive the brand more. Do you think that would be a good idea?
Yeah, that's definitely something that we want to do. And we've been trying to do. I think sometimes the main issue we run into is sometimes those players themselves they just want to compete. They don't want to like they might be like, hey, you guys want to do like a spotlight video? And they're like, not really. It's like it's okay, that's understandable. We're not going to force them to do something we don't want to do, and that's what we're trying to introduce more with Golden is those news articles covering matches, so that brings a little bit more than just seeing a tweet at the end of the night that hey, we won. And you can go in and read and maybe have some words from the competitors and learn a little bit more about them. But we definitely for sure want to start doing some, like you said, player spotlights. That'd be amazing to just kind of like sit down and maybe have a one-on-one like video interview and get to know them and like their background and how they got into competing and how they got to the level that they're at. It's something that we want to definitely do. It's just kind of figuring out how we're going to do it and implementing it. Basically, the hardest part is getting an esports competitor into a call and actually getting it done, because most of the time they're practicing, they're scrimming, they're doing all this stuff to get prepared for the game, and that extra stuff can sometimes be a distraction. It's just kind of like figuring out how we want to fit it in and not take away from everything they need to do to be the best at the game that they could possibly be.
And that's a great point. And Stevie, it kind of brings me to one other thing about content creation with esports players, because it's it's kind of the same with streaming in a sense where you can't just like turn your cam on, start playing, and assume you're going to find success anymore. And I feel you have to innovate, right? I say that every single day every single time we have this podcast. I say the word innovate.
We should just call our podcast the Innovation
I
Podcast.
can't help it because but it's true. Everything you need to innovate as a streamer. You need to add elements. You need to the elements that are going to improve or make you stand out, whether it be your good quality or niche things that you say or do, or niche things that your stream can do that others don't. And as far as esports goes, yeah, you can be one of the best players in the world, but now it seems like more than ever, esports players, competitive gamers, they have to now kind of be a little bit more multifaceted than they used to be. They almost like can't just be competitors anymore. They have to also be entertainers. And so do you what do you think about that? And I know you don't force them to stream, or you don't tell them they need to stream, but do you encourage them to stream a little bit and be like, hey, like let people kind of like get to know who you are? And or like, we talked about encouraging them to kind of participate in content, but do you think that, do you think it's going to be the future in esports, is trying to get them not only to be great players, and yeah, it's a toll to be able to practice and play and compete and then stream, and also try to work on them as an entertainer. But do you think that's kind of the way that it's going to have to be in the future, just because of how saturated the market's starting to get?
Yeah, like you said, like the market for players is so saturated now, and a lot of people still think they can just grind and play every day and like win some tournaments and show that they're better and like, get to another level. And yeah, some people can still do that, but it's a lot easier for somebody to recognize how good you are if they can go back and watch a VOD of like in the finals of the tournament, like, wow, look at how well this person's performing, and like I can see it on stream, like I can see it with my own two eyes rather than somebody like hearing through the grapevine, oh, he won this tournament, he played pretty good, but like there's no way I can go watch that and look at it myself. I think that's especially true in the Call of Duty scene. Like that's where I grew up. That's kind of like when I think esports, that's like where my brain is at. So many amateur Call of Duty players don't stream, and it's actually changing a lot this year with the move to PC, because a lot of tournaments they are forced to stream for cheating reasons, because Activision for some reason thinks that they don't need an anti-cheat. And so it's starting to change a little bit, but even those players still, like, I'll tune into their stream and their title will just say, I'm being forced to do this, and the quality will be super low, and like the audio will be messed up, and it's like, all right, nah, I'm gonna go watch somebody else now. But the people, like, you can tell the amateur players that are putting time to like make their stream look good, that's gonna be more attractive. It won't get you a bigger team offer because you still need that skill level, but it's more likely that somebody that's higher up in that team might notice you if like they hear about it and they can go look at a stream and like see that you're playing and actually see you competing at that level and like popping off live, and like they don't have to hear about it, they can actually see it for themselves.
Yeah, man. It's like exposure. It's exposure, and I think if you're an esports competitor and you don't think about like how your cam looks, or that you don't use a cam, and or things like that, I think you're doing yourself a huge disservice, because yeah, you may not want to be an entertainer, but that's where you're gonna get found that way. It's rare that you get found through the circuit anymore. There's so many different circuits. There's so many different like brackets to be competing in. You really have to kind of be a polarizing figure to be able to get noticed anymore. And people might get mad at me for using this as a comparison, because obviously it's two different, completely different things, opposed to like boxing or mixed martial arts. In that there are a lot of skillful martial artists, there are a lot of skillful boxers, but a lot of people just never heard of them. Some of the best of all time, they were, nobody even knew about them. But then you have people like Floyd Mayweather, or people who Gennady Golovkin, like people they are huge because they're polarizing figures, right? You have the same thing in esports, right? You have people like Hiko, who's a polarizing figure in Valorant, who was a polarizing figure in CS:GO. You have a lot of these competitive Fortnite people who even maybe just were competitors, then kind of went to entertainers. But they were polarizing figures, but they were also phenomenal at the game. And I think it's getting to the point now where you have to try to do both. You have to at least give it a shot. And if you're not, if you do, if you want it bad, if you want it bad enough, I think you're gonna have to.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what you're saying there. I mean, I think with a lot of things in general, especially when you do the comparison between sports and that together, I think it's really hard to to just be the best at something anymore. You have to be entertaining. Like, you look at some of the best players in some of the professional leagues, LeBron James. Yeah, we all know LeBron James is the best in the world, but like his personality is monstrous. And like he wouldn't get all these brand deals and endorsing deals and people's eyes on him if he wasn't as good as he was. And that's what my message is for anybody that wants to do this, because I know, that's the new thing nowadays is people want to be esports athletes. Kids want to be esports athletes. And like, yeah, being the best is obviously number one priority, but building your brand and building your exposure have to be right there with that. And you got to build around that.
Yeah, being an entertainer. I mean, you listen. That's the thing. Even if you're a competitor, especially in certain sports, you're an entertainer too. Like basketball, I think boxing or martial arts, UFC. Like that's you're also being an entertainer. Like the people who get the most attention are the ones that are the most polarizing figures. The ones that kind of like make more bustle out of a situation. Like even if you don't like them, even if you don't like them, like you know them. You know what I mean? It's like Floyd Mayweather as a boxer. Like most people hated Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah,
But
I definitely disliked him as well.
yeah, but he's huge, and even if you know him for being disliked, then it's still you know him. And I think we lost Ethan. So we'll
We
wait a
did.
second, and we'll get him back. We'll probably cut out the in between here.
Oh, is he back?
I
There
hate my
we go.
life.
All right, that wasn't too
Hey,
bad.
there he is.
Yeah, it does that. I'd say 3 to 4 times a day, just randomly, no reason, just completely resets itself.
Well,
Hey,
hey, at
no
least
worries,
we're
man.
professionals and we carried a really good conversation while you were gone.
Yeah, we were good. I saw your cam froze. I was like, oh shoot, we gotta get him back in. What did you hear anything, or were you cut out for everything we were just saying?
You were talking about the last thing I heard was you were talking about people being a polarizing figure, like those esports players being polarizing figures and going. I think the last thing we were talking about was Fortnite players. Was the last
Yeah.
thing I heard.
Yeah, I mean, and that was basically what I said, is that like Fortnite players were polarizing in that they were really really good at a very polarizing game, but they were also very very polarizing figures for the most part. Like a lot of them were very fun to watch. They would have this fun banter. They had levels, they had layers to themselves. And do you think that's something you're going to start looking for in your competitors now in the future?
I mean, for me personally, it's always going to be skill first. But obviously, and my thoughts for people is you're not gonna, especially the amateur level, you're not gonna be winning every tournament and making a ton of money because it's just simply not there for the amateurs. Like the prize pools are just simply not there unless you're placing top one, top two in these tournaments. You're not getting money, and by streaming and being that polarizing figure and like providing people with a high level of gameplay, that's the way that you could build maybe a community of people that enjoy watching you play the game. And like with Twitch, like you have subs and stuff, and that's a way that you can maybe make a little bit of money on the side rather than just putting it all into like I have to win this tournament if I want to eat next week, which a lot of people don't do that anymore. But I remember back in the days it was like I'm in this and like I'm in this is the only way I can make money is by competing, and that's all they were doing was just trying to win tournaments. And it's like, well, if you stream and you're extremely good at the game, and I know for like some of my teammates in the past, like they're really funny, they're fun to be around. Like, hey, figure it out, throw the stream on. You might be able to find some people that enjoy watching you, and you have that chance there with Twitch to maybe make a little bit of extra money if people really enjoy the content that you're producing with the high level gameplay.
Yeah, absolutely. Stevie, anything before we shift subjects?
No, I think we're good to keep rolling, man. I'm loving this. This is good.
Cool. So I know we want to talk to you about merch, and how important is merch to you? I mean, we saw your old hoodie that you still have from the other organization. How important is merchandise and clothing to you? And do you kind of have a special place in your heart for clothing? Is that something you've always wanted to kind of have with an esports group? Is like, oh, I want to have like really good merch, because that's something I've noticed is that like a lot of esports companies have their like little logo on the shirt, whatever. That's cool, but like you guys have like legitimately good merch. Like our merch on the site is really cool. And so like, what kind of what inspired you to try to like innovate on the clothing, on the branding side, and like, what do you want to do with that in the future?
Yeah, I love clothes. Like I have too, you asked my girlfriend, I have too many clothes. I have more clothes than she does. I have more shoes than she does. I'm a big clothing guy.
You're talking to a
Um,
guy with a flamingo shirt on, so like I understand, bro.
yeah. So I guess a big inspiration for us in general was 100 Thieves and the way that they do their merch. And it's not just them. Some of their merch is them just slapping the 100 Thieves logo on it, but it still looks good and it's like high quality. A lot of like teams, they'll just have a t-shirt and it'll just have their logo like right like on their chest and that's it. That's it. And they're like, yeah, this is awesome. Buy it because you support us. And it's like, okay, like, yeah, I can get some people buying it because they support you, but at the end of the day, it's like just your logo slapped on a shirt. Where's the creativity? Where's the really drive to make people say, oh, I have to get that because it looks so cool? So that's kind of the direction we wanted to go. And like, we like what 100 Thieves does with their limited time drops, which is something that we're going to start doing from now on. But I also feel like 100 Thieves could be a lot more successful if they had something that was up every day of the year that somebody could always go and get. So that's something that we try to do. Like we have our 365 store, which we update every year. And we're currently in the works of redesigning our collection. So the stuff that's on the site will only be up there for so much longer, and then it'll be gone forever. So if you haven't gotten any of the first 365 collection, go check that out. Get some before it's gone. But that's something that we're really trying to do is bring that stuff that's still tied to Pryde, and you can tell it's Pryde, but it's not just us slapping our logo on something and saying, "Hey, there you go. Here's the merch you wanted." We want to make it so that it's worth people's money. Like they're getting good looking clothing that they can wear, and it doesn't necessarily like somebody won't look at it and go, "Oh, that's gaming. What are you wearing that for?" Like nerd. It's like streetwear stuff. It's like you can wear it out. You can wear it anywhere, and nobody's gonna know that it's gaming necessarily.
Exactly, and that's what I love about the merch. That's what I love about how merch is kind of adapting in the gaming scene now. Is that like the merch is actually really cool, and it makes me want to invest in that, in the people that I like, because their merch is actually cool now, opposed to just having something with their logo on it that like no one else will really know even what that is, and like it looks kind of weird or tacky or whatever. Um, I think a lot of streamers come across this too, where a lot of streamers will be like, "Oh, I'm going to put my one of my emotes on a shirt through Stream Elements and then sell that." And it's like, oh, okay, that's cool, I guess. That's okay, but it's like, what else are you gonna do? Like, are you gonna try to innovate in that, or are you just gonna, copy and paste, slap it on, and ship it out? And yeah, I'm sure some people will really like that, but I like what you guys are doing, in regards to having these cool drops in the 365 store, where there's always something available. And my question to you would be, what are you planning on doing in the future with that? Like, are we going to see some like some Pryde ugly Christmas sweaters coming through this Christmas, or like do you have plans on maybe doing like very very specific limited time drops with particular streamers or people within Pryde, and kind of having like these limited time, like this particular person drop? Like, what do you see in the future for clothing with Pryde, and how do you want to expand on it?
That specific person drop actually idea is really good. I had not thought of that, so I'm gonna actually take that to the executive team and talk about that because that is a genius idea, to do. But yeah, we really just want to. We have our 365 collection, which is gonna be there, and like that gets updated every year. And then we want to come with those like themed drops, like something that looks cool that you could wear anywhere. And we just want to keep continuing on like the path that we're on with our merch now. We're really happy with like the quality of everything and like shipping times. Like obviously with every company, no matter like what you are, sometimes every once in a while somebody's gonna have like a just a rough experience with the shipping, and it's unfortunate that not everybody can be perfect. And it's just kind of, especially with the world we're in now with COVID and everything, shipping is just kind of crazy right now. But we're really really happy with like how our apparel provider new has been so far, and we just want to continue to bring high quality merch to people that people want to buy. And like what you said earlier with streamers just slapping one of their emotes on a shirt, that's great for your community that watch you every day and like are part of you. But somebody else is gonna not gonna see that and be like, "Oh, I want to get that. I don't know what it means, but I want to get that." That's what we're trying to do with our merch. Is people will see it and not necessarily know who Pryde is, but think that the merch looks really cool. So they were gonna be like, "Hey, where'd you get that? That's really cool. I want to get one of those." And that's like I'd say our main goal is to make it so that you don't necessarily have to know who we are to want to buy our merch, but you see it, it looks good, and you're like, hey, I'd like to wear that.
Yeah, man, I think you guys are doing a great job of it. And I'm really excited to see some of the more limited drops in the future. Stevie, anything on your end before we keep shifting around to some other things?
I think with the clothes stuff, it's really awesome. That's one thing that I've been getting more into personally myself, with just like different fashion, and especially as a designer, I'm actually learning elements of how to do apparel design and stuff because my mother actually works for one of the biggest apparel companies in the world. So, like for me personally, I've always been invested into those things and seeing it, and now that I'm in Pride, it's really awesome to be able to see the inner workings of that on top of that too in the esports world, because there's a lot of people that, as big as esports is, a lot of people don't understand like the backbone and the root of it. And even like a few days ago was explaining a lot of this stuff to my mother, because she just like, my mom, she likes to think she's hip, but she can't tell me who Hiko is, right? She doesn't know all these names, she doesn't know all these people, all these esports. She knows Halo, she knows Call of Duty, but like explaining that there is this huge apparel company like 100 Thieves, right? That's who I use as an example. And to think that in a year, maybe Pride could be close to that level if they keep trending and building and being creative. Because I don't see any other org really besides 100 Thieves or maybe Envy, Cloud9 doing things at that rate with the drops and the creativity within them. So
As far as like financially too, is it tough? Like, is it because I mean, it's not like Pride's like a revenue generating monster. It's like a lot of this, I'm sure, is all put up front by you guys. So it's like, how do you feel about that? And do you get any sort of return to be able, you can throw it back into it, or are you just kind of just like hoping like, I'm just going to keep throwing money in here, and then one of these days, hopefully, I'm not going to just like, it's not going to be in the negative for me.
Yeah, a lot of like teams are just money pits that people throw money at, and we're doing a good thing with our merch where we're seeing like we're getting money back from those sales because our community has been so receptive to the merch, and they've amazingly, like, they've bought a lot of stuff, and it really warms my heart. Like, it makes me like, all right, we're doing something right here. The people are actually like wanting to support us and get this stuff. And so any of that money that we get returned never will touch like DJ or I's pocket. Like, anything that we make, it goes right back into making the team better, which paying for new designs, paying for editors, paying for anything like that. So any money we return right now is just going straight back into the team to
Come on,
keep
bro.
improving us.
No Starbucks latte, no nothing, no
No
stick of
no
bubble gum, or
embezzlement here. No embezzlement here. I'm not going to jail. No. Uh, Eventually, obviously, we'd like to get to the point where we're huge and like TJ and I have a paycheck for this, and we could pay you two to run the podcast and have a nice hefty paycheck. We don't got to worry about anything else. And that's what we're striving to get to one day. And hopefully we can get to one day. And we think we have the branding, and we think we have the support staff, and we think we have the vision and the direction to eventually get there. It's just got to take, like, even with streamers, that one lucky break, that one, like, for a streamer, that one raid, that one host that really
yeah.
lets them showcase their personality. We need that one person to see Pride and be like, this has potential to be big. I want to invest in this, or I want to be a part of this, and exposes us to other sponsors or investors that could see us and want to be like, all right, this could be big. This is what I want to be a part of. This is what I want to put my money into.
Yeah, man. And I think it's only a matter of time, to be honest. Like, I don't even think I saw the potential of Pride until I was in Pride. Like, I kept looking at Pride. I was like, Pride's great. Yeah, they seem really good. Like, they got a lot of nice people. And then once I joined, and once I kind of saw some of the conversations that were being had, some of the behind closed doors conversations about like growth and what things look like in the future, I got really excited. I got really excited, and I'm really excited to see within the next year, what's going to be with Pride, and what's going to happen, because I think there's a room for exponential growth. And Stevie, anything on your end before we go through our last couple of topics?
no, I think we're good, man. Keep rolling. Let's go.
Cool. So I know there are a couple things you want to keep doing. One of them being tournaments. I know you want to keep doing tournaments. I know that you are doing a Rogue Company tournament in January. What do you envision happening in these tournaments? Are you just trying to just have like a fun way for people to compete, and then also trying to get our name out there as well, and for anybody who does want to compete? What do you plan on doing with these, and do you plan on making them kind of a staple and trying to grow them, and make these kind of like a bigger tournament with a larger prize pool?
Yeah, that's for sure something I want to do. Like, really, the Rogue Company tournament was my idea because I started streaming Rogue, and I really got back into the game. I played it a lot when it launched, and then as games do, it just kind of like it kind of died down a little bit because they didn't have a ranked. I'm a super competitive person. If it doesn't have a ranked mode and it's not Call of Duty, I probably am not going to play it for very long, just because I like to be able to compete and like try to strive for like a certain level or something. Um, so I kind of got back into Rogue, and I was looking around the competitive scene, and I was like, there's really nothing to play for here. Like, there's a $50 CMG tournament, so I was like, every once in a while, I was like, screw it. I think this is something that probably could be like the forefront of, and we could really help grow the scene. So that's what I went with. And it's funny, a couple weeks after, like, actually, I think it was probably like 2 days after I announced the tournament for the first time, CMG came out with like an $8,000 tournament, and I was like, all right, we can capitalize off this growth in terms of like helping grow our tournament page because we want to have as many teams as possible in there to just have, competitive fun tournaments, give people something to play for, especially like these road company players. There really isn't a whole lot to play for now besides the CMG. So that's what we want to do is, give them something to play for, something to compete for, like a reason, like give them validation for how much they're like grinding and put time, how much time they're putting in this game. And we don't just want to stop with Rogue Company. We want to eventually, maybe host some Warzone tournaments, especially with like custom games coming out recently. It'd be really cool to get, a lot of like Warzone tournaments right now are just kill races. You launch in by yourself or with a teammate, and you see how many kills you can get compared to the other team. And it'd be really cool to maybe host our own like custom lobby tournaments where it's just straight up like your team is going up against another team in the same lobby. Like you're not seeing who can get more kills. It's kind of like how Apex is set up with how many kills you can get. Like it's like kill points and then placement points, like for what you're placing and that sort of stuff. And we don't like just want to stop there. Like eventually, want to get the tournaments, like doing all kinds of different games and provide all kinds of different esports, which is tournaments to play in. And obviously, like it gives them something to play for, and it helps grow the Pryde name, which is at the end of the day is my main goal is to continue to grow us.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing, I mean, from a streamer's perspective too, I mean, tournaments are so fun. Like, because tournaments give you a reason to kind of create a storyline within your stream for that day. You're like, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're doing, we're doing this tournament. We know these guys are in here. You guys know these guys. We don't like we love them, but we're going to kick their ass today. And it's just like that. That helps. That helps like add this fun dynamic. And I think that was one of the funnest thing about Fortnite is whenever there were these competitive Fortnites and you see like this the Twitch rivals tournaments and things like that. Like, I think creating dynamics around everybody's every streamer's community to be able to have some sort of fun interaction like that would be just, I mean, amazing. That's something I want to do. I want to get a group of 4 friends for the Rogue Company tournament and get some other friends to go against. Like that seems like so much fun. And that's something that which you would think there would be a lot of, but oddly enough, there isn't. Like you talked about CMG, which is that site, which is of the site. There's a website that you can sign up. There are a lot of different sites, right? There are a lot of sites you can sign up, compete on certain websites. Can you kind of run through exactly what CMG is as well, just for people who may not know exactly what that is?
Yeah, so CMG is, I think it's short for Checkmate Gaming. It's just it's a website where they host tournaments for cash prizes and you can play wager matches on there. So like Call of Duty big wager scene, like you'll play against another team for $1, $5 a person, and like if you win, you get that money. And it's just give something extra like players to play for money, and then they host big tournaments like um CMG. They have the CMG, I think it's called the CMG Elites, and they're like $2,500 prize pools, like something like that, something bigger. And it's really just like a tournament website and a place for people to compete and get better.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember whenever I played whenever Blackout first came out, the first Call of Duty Battle Royale. It was so hard to find competitive brackets on PC because it was mainly on console because this was before cross-platform. So it was always hard to find any sort of like fun, like low ball competitive bracket to get into. And so it's cool. It's cool not only to have a competitive bracket or just a tournament to play in, but a tournament of almost like a lot of people that or people of friends that and that just makes it a lot more fun. It's like going to play soccer with your friends. It's just like it's more fun than playing with a bunch of strangers you don't know. So it's going to be really cool, kind of getting everybody together and seeing who you find and how these tournaments will be structured, especially through you guys. So it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, like touching on that, like competing against friends thing. I remember like taking it back to when I played in tournaments in Call of Duty. My team would sign up for a tournament, and I'd be like looking through the roster sheet, seeing who else is playing it. And I'd see one of my buddies, and I'd be like, "Hey," I'd shoot him a DM, "Hey, we're in the same tournament. I hope we play against each other. It's gonna be a fun time." And then if we actually do end up playing against each other, I'm just talking shit to them the whole time. Like they can't hear me because we're in different like calls, but I'm just talking shit to them the whole time. And then we get done with the game, and be like, "Oh, you kicked my ass, or I kicked your ass. It was fun playing against you." Blah 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 blah, and you like move on. And it's always fun to like see friends or people that you know in those tournaments and like looking forward to, hey, I hope you do really good. So either we play each other early, or if we don't play each other early in the tournament, I hope we both do really good. So we get to the finals and we play each other. And it's just a fun way to like build relationships with other people that are doing the same thing as you, or even just like have that little competitive nature with some of your buddies. And it's always fun to beat your friends and say, hey, I kicked your ass. Have a little bit of bragging rights and stuff.
Well, yeah, dude, and you're creating a culture doing this, right? I mean, it's the same thing with the merch. It's the same thing with getting, all these streamers and people together and just kind of like having these group events. Like some of the things I know, some of our future content projects that are coming up. I don't know what's not supposed to be talked about, so I'm not going to say anything. Like certain things that I know are coming soon. Certain fun events that it helps with the merch line too. You're creating a culture here. You're creating like you're creating this something. You're creating something that people want to be a part of, right? I mean, that's the whole point, is creating this thing that other people want to be a part of, or they see like, oh, this is something I want to do too. So it's like I feel like you're doing a great job in that, in not just the merch, not just in the culture of Pryde as an organization, as a team, but also just in the ways you want to innovate and like tournaments and such. So it's really cool. I'm really happy to see you doing stuff like that.
Yeah, too, with like we used to. I don't know if you knew this because this was a long time ago. We actually hosted like an in-team Valorant tournament, or like when the game first came out. I think it was still in beta, like a full game wasn't out yet. We hosted an in-team Valorant tournament, so it was just random teams from people in the organization, and we streamed it to our Twitch and like had it casted. And the community went crazy. We were like almost hitting 100 viewers on each stream for it. It was insane, and that's something definitely like we did that one Valorant tournament. We haven't really done it since, just because people are busy. It's crazy. World's going crazy right now. I think that's definitely something we want to do more. Is like we have this tournament side for like these competitors and for like anybody to sign up with, but we also want to do some of these like fun in-team tournaments in different games. Like you have Valorant, you have Rocket League, you have all these games like custom games where you can set up and just have match up random Pride members with each other that might not normally play games together, and that's a good way to meet other people that are in the team, and it's really fun for like the community to watch. Like, oh, Team Gummies is going up against Team Nash this week in whatever game. Like that's gonna be like a go. Gummies has this person, this person, this person, and Nash team has these people. It's gonna be fun to like watch them going against each other, and like they pick their favorite teams of like who they really like in the team, and it's fun for the people in Pride to like just play with people they don't normally play with and have something a little more competitive, and it's awesome for the community to just watch and interact with and like root for people in the org that they genuinely want to see succeed and create good content.
That would be so sick. Like you explain that, like it's literally giving me. It'll be so much fun. I really I want to start doing that soon. And that's something I've even thought about with my own stream personally, not even just with Pride, is doing more event based type stuff, like doing an event, like something like I want to do, like I don't know what yet, but there are certain things like I talked to John Baker about it. It's like doing thing like creating a Tinder profile on stream and having stream help out, or like something like really ridiculous, like just having these like events where it's like, oh, like I thought about, okay, I guess it's free reign if you want to steal this idea, because if I don't do it within the next week, I'm an idiot. But I thought about getting a psychic, a call in psychic, and like calling them and like giving me a reading on stream, and just
It's
like
pretty
making
cool.
making that an event. It's like changing it up, and then like having these things that are not just like your normal day-to-day content, which is fine and chill, but like having these things that are just like, this is a special event, this does not happen all the time. It's the same way with drops, right? Like clothing drops. Like these are things you can do. Like these are things that are going to generate hype, generate people to want to come check you out maybe for the first time, and then be like, oh, I like him, I'll stay around for his normal chill stuff too. So that's, it's really cool. I think Pride, it could work the same way with Pride, and I think it will if you keep it up with these cool events.
Yeah, especially like with that stuff. Like you might have like regular viewers who maybe they miss a stream and they're like, oh darn, I missed a stream, I didn't get to watch it. But it's like I probably just missed the same old, like playing some games, having some funny moments, yelling at the computer a little bit. Or if they miss a stream like that where you have a psychic, they're like, wow, I can't believe I missed that. I'm kicking myself. Like I won't get to see that again anytime soon.
Exactly, man. So that's really cool. It's really cool to see that. Stevie, anything on your end? I think we have basically one more topic before we wrap it up here.
I was just gonna say the one thing that I wanted to dive into just a little bit was the one element that I think. I mean, I don't know how much you experienced it, Millnash, but I experienced it, was being a grinder on the team, and how that culture kind of started, because I think that's one of the things about Pryde that I think separates them from a lot of these other teams that I know of is they have this coalition of competitors, streamers, content creators that are all biting for a spot to be in Pryde, and they all come together, and the community actually created its own thing. And that's one of the things that I've talked to a lot of people the last week because I knew you were going to be a guest. That like that's the one thing a lot of them constantly want to know is like, what do you think is one of the best ways for them to get attention with their content, to get your guys' attention, to maybe facilitate something like that happening?
I'm very easy. You pretty much just have to tag me in a post and I'll like, all right, I'll come check it out. I'm bored most of the time, so I like to come through. But I know especially for like our leads that actually do the recruiting, they're busy people. They have a lot of people that want them to check them out. And it's really just about setting yourself apart and making yourself like making us when we tune into your stream and we watch it and we have to get them in Pryde. Like we cannot wait, like we can't miss out on having this person in our team. It's really about like just elevating your stream, your videos, whatever you're doing, and making it so that you don't give us a choice in whether or not we should pick you up or not. Like you make us like think we have to pick them up. And like I said, for me, viewing content, it's really easy to get me to view content. You just like tag me in it, or like I see something and I'll click it and be like, all right, I'm bored. I'm gonna watch this. And like you said, with our grinders, I think our grinders some of the coolest people I've met. Like the grinders chat, it's like its own family. It's true, and it truly is like everybody in there. It isn't like people that are cutthroat, like vying for a spot. Like I don't want to see them. I hope their stream crashes in the middle of the stream, so they blah blah blah. Like everybody in that chat wants to see everybody succeed, and it's so wholesome. And if you're in the grinders chat and you're listening to this, shout out to you guys and girls. You're all amazing. Uh, it's fun to talk with you all every day and see the content and see the growth in you. And I truly hope that I all see every single one of you in Pryde. If it was up to me, and I know I'm the owner and I'm the founder, and I could just flex my muscles and say, hey, we're picking this person up, which I'm not going to overstep our leads. But if I could, I would just pick every single person up to Pryde because you're all amazing. You all create great content.
And and just for people listening that may not, because we are trying to get people who watch the podcast that may not even be in Pryde or maybe they don't know a lot about Pryde yet. So grinders, and I explained this the other podcast, is the grinders are people who are aspiring to join the team. They want to be a part of it. And most teams, if not all teams now, have kind of a grinders group or a grinders chat. But it is odd how odd in a good way how you guys have created this dynamic in the Pryde grinders chat where it is like its own little subculture and everybody's like super supportive. If you're not supportive, you get weeded out really quick. It's one of those things where it's like if they're people come and go in that chat very quickly. If you're not supportive, you're gone. And it's just that you get weeded out. So it's really cool to see everybody like super supportive and very cool and friendly and just like even just like, hey, hope you had a good day. Like hope everybody's doing good. Oh, you got a problem? What's up? And that's really cool to see. And talking about Ethan with tagging you and stuff, how do you feel? Because I know Five has had this problem, and I think he continues to have this problem of too many people reaching out to him privately in direct messages. It's great. It's great that people care, but there's only so many people who can answer your questions. There's only so much bandwidth each human being has. So maybe you can just kind of give a little PSA to anybody who wants to reach out to you in regards to like, is it okay to send you a DM? Is it okay to like maybe send you a message or two? But it's like, don't be overbearing. Like, hey, if it don't get back to you, it's nothing personal. Like it's just everybody's busy. So is there anything you kind of want to say in that regard?
The amount of DM requests I have is ridiculous, and like I said, I'm really easy. Like I'm really a nice, like friendly guy. Like I'll talk to you, but like I said, like Five and me, we get so many messages. It's hard to respond to every single one of them. And if your message just says "yo," I'm not gonna open that. I got more important stuff to do. Like if you want me to answer your message and talk to you, send me a little something more. Like make me want to intrigue me to open that message and read it. Like if I see "yo" and I click your profile, and your profile doesn't catch my interest either, I'm be like, all right, I have something else I really need to do right now. I just can't answer this. And like I feel like a dick sometimes when I do it, but at the same time, we have all this other stuff going on that if I sat down and replied to every single person that DM me, yo, I wouldn't have time to do anything else in the day. So it's really like if you're reaching out to somebody for support, understand that we're all super busy and we want to be there for you. It's just sometimes like we get overwhelmed with stuff. I know Five especially, he has so many messages and people like will double DM him and be like, how's your day going? It's like, all right, he's not always gonna respond to that, and then they'll message him another message an hour later that says, "Cool." Like, I, I get it. Like, you want. I don't know how to say this without sounding like really mean, but like everybody only has so much time in the day. We can't respond to every single message. We can't look at every single thing as much as we try to. And I know everybody really tries to look at all those messages. You have to make it stand out. You have to make us want to click it and want to like fully read it through and like intrigue and pique our interest in some way. I guess is really what I'm trying to say is don't DM me and say yo. DM me and say,
Yeah.
"Hey, my name is this. I'm really interested in this. Like make me want to read your message rather than like having to DM you back to figure out what it is you even want to talk to me about."
Yeah, it's like don't make you're making that person put forth extra work whenever you're the one that's trying to benefit out of something. And it's like, no offense, but they don't have anything to benefit off of you. You're trying to benefit off of them most likely with this DM. And also it's like what we were talking about with Five getting messages was, oh hey, and then cool and getting mad. And maybe you won't say you don't want to be rude to that person. I'll be rude to that person for you. You're fucking selfish. You're fucking selfish. If you get mad because a person doesn't get back to you when they're fucking busy, you're selfish. I'll say it. You're selfish and you're being rude and you're being disrespectful and you have no social etiquette. And people like that will not get in Pride, and people like that have no place anywhere. You need to learn to be mature. You need to learn to understand when it is okay to reach out to people, and when someone doesn't respond to you, you can't get offended. You just gotta realize, okay, I gotta get my nose to the grindstone. I gotta work harder. I gotta do more. I have to get recognized. I have to do things. I have to do more things to get myself on their radar before they're even gonna give a shit about me. I mean, I felt like I had that whenever I started getting into you guys' group, and I was in the grinders chat just like everybody else. I would chat in there and everything. I didn't DM a lot of people. I kept my nose to the grindstone. I put out content. I put out funny stuff. People shared it. Other people saw it. Here I am. It just takes time, and it just takes dedication. And don't annoy the people you're trying to like benefit from. That's just not going to help you.
Yeah, I know, like, too, with answering messages, it takes, like, getting all those messages, it takes a mental toll. And, like, on top of whatever else you're doing, it just stresses out. And I know sometimes, like, I probably have 4 messages right now that I am going to respond to, but I just, like, right now, I open my phone and, like, I get on Twitter and I'll read the management chat and I'll scroll to the message that I'm going to respond to. And I'm like, I just don't have the mental capacity to type out the message that I think I need to right now. And so I'm just going to let it sit there and I'll get back to it later. And when you when people get frustrated and they'll be like, damn, you like question, like they'll like send you a message and then an hour 2 hours later they'll send you a question mark and you're like, all right, now I'm not going to answer you because you're being a dick. It's like,
Yeah.
have some patience. We might not get back to you right away, but we're going to do our best to get back to you eventually if you are, piquing our interest in something that we're genuinely interested in. Like I said, if you message me, yo, there's a 99.9% chance I'm not messaging you back unless I click your profile and see something that actually catches my eye. And then if that's the case, you should have sent me a more interesting message in the first place.
Absolutely, man. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing that I want to relate to everyone that's listening to this podcast is have compassion, because there are a lot of people you don't know what they're going through, what's happening in their lives. We're coming on Twitter to release and maybe get away from some things. And the last thing we want is an overbearing presence that doesn't understand the compassion of, like, if you're not getting an answer, there's a reason. Like, even someone who has been a grinder and went through all those things, right? And like, I can't tell you the last time that maybe Five answered a DM that I had. But like, if I really need Five or Ethan or Nash, like, they will answer when they're gonna answer. And like, you guys just gotta have some patience with a lot of people right now. But just don't overdo it. Don't annoy people. Don't get on their nerves, because you know what's gonna happen? You're gonna get soft blocked. That's it. It's just going to happen. And I hate saying that, but like, I've had to do that this week myself, because there's a lot of people that just, they don't get the answers they want. And they think that's the answer is to annoy you more, or just to keep bumping the things. And just like, you guys just gotta take it easy. That's the only thing I could do. Like 99% of the people that I've interacted with are great. Like, especially the grinders, they are fantastic. Mm-hmm. But there's that small percentage of people in general that they just don't understand, like you said, the social etiquette. And a lot of them are young and they don't get it, so I try not to hold a grudge or anything like that. So just for everyone that's listening, be patient. All right, guys? Somebody will get to you at some point. And then if not, go back to the drawing board. Make something funny happen. Who knows? You might get a DM.
We're not
Yeah,
trying to. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, also like going back to what I said is think of a DM, like if you're sending somebody a DM, like in Pryde that you're inquiring about joining or like you're interested in the team, think of that as almost like a job application. Like you're not gonna go into a job with like say like a cover letter for your resume that just says yo and hand it into them like, hey, I want to work here. Here's my stuff. What's up? How are we doing this? Think of it as you have to do something that makes us want to respond to you or look at your content. I know I've had grinders DM me that they didn't DM, like I'd see them join the grinders chat and they'd be in there for a few weeks and I would watch a couple of their streams and then maybe once I talked in their chat for the first time or something like that, then they would be like, hey, they message me and be like, hey, I just wanted to introduce myself. That's great. I love that. I will talk to you all day if you do something like that. But if you aren't in the grinders chat or like you haven't expressed your interest in Pryde and your first thing is, hey, I want to join the team, or hey, you should pick me up because I'm really good at this. It's like, okay, there's a million other people that are really good at that. Like, what makes you different from them? Why should I give you the time of day when there's somebody that genuinely shows that they're interested in the Pryde brand and like wants to be a part of this culture? What makes your DM more important than their DM? And like you said, it's a lot of people have that ego that they think that they're the best at what they're doing, and if they don't get a response, then it's a blow to some people's egos and they don't know how to handle it.
And that's just immaturity, and then we don't want you in anyways. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But you know, and it's also different. There are some people who really just maybe they're reaching out, maybe having personal problems, not even wanting to join Pryde. You know, I get that from time to time. I know Five gets that a lot. They're just like having some like personal problems, and they're looking to confide in you. And you know, we'd love to help for anybody who's having issues as much as we can. But and that's great, and we'll probably end up getting back to you. It's just everybody, we all have our own lives and issues and trials and things that we go through. So sometimes we may not have the mental bandwidth to even like get back to you, at least in the time that we want to, and the time that I'm sure you would want to. So it's not that we don't care, because we all care. We all really, really care. You know, and five said this on his episode. You know, he may send out a tweet, but he didn't respond to somebody's message because he's like, it takes less mental bandwidth to send out a tweet that he probably had saved in a folder somewhere that he was just going to tweet later than just to read a message, think about it, have a response, especially if it's something, you know, deep that needs to be really thought about or handled delicately.
Yeah, we all know Five's a big clout tweeter. He has him saved in the drafts. No, I'm just
Well,
yeah, it is.
I say that because I do that. I'm not like throwing shade at all, because
Yeah.
I literally have like a whole folder of like funny tweets that I just like have saved to throw. So I assume if I do it, that other people do it too. But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, just so that's clear, I don't want Five
No,
coming
yeah.
at me with the fucking knife emojis in my DMs. So I just want to
No,
be
it's
transparent there.
But yeah, like if I'm watching a Bears game, you're gonna see me tweeting. I'm not looking at my DMs because I'm focused on how fucking terrible we are at football, and I'm tweeting about it, and I'm mad. Like it takes a lot less work for me to tweet out "we suck" than to go through your message and let it process in my brain and think, okay, how do I need to respond to this? Then sending "the Bears suck at football, fire everybody, send." That takes so much less work than to like look at a DM, process it, and say, all right, how do I want to respond to this?
I love how you just made a callback to our past episodes of me talking shit about sports and like talking about the Bears this, the Bears that. That's my favorite fucking thing, and I'm so happy you did that.
I'm a diehard Bears fan. I've been one since the day I was born, and we fucking suck at football this year. They got my hopes up early. I was like, all right, we're looking kind of good. And then I looked at our schedule, and I knew as soon as it started getting to the tougher games, I was like, here we fucking go. It's roller coaster again. It's a rough life. It's a rough life as a Bears fan.
A rough life indeed. Stevie, anything else on your end? I think I'm all set. I don't have any more questions. Anything you want to bring up or wrap up?
I mean, I don't really think so. I think we covered a lot of stuff on this podcast. It was nice to get to know Ethan a lot better. I mean, I know Ethan a little bit. I've been in some of his streams, and we conversated before. It's just nice to hear, like, when you're a part of something, it's nice to hear the foundation of how that started, and you hear that person talking about all those values and ethics that you agree with are facilitated in where they came from. That's an excellent part of this podcast that I'm really excited to go back and re-listen to as well. So.
Yeah, it was really nice getting to know you, man. Like, you know, we've interacted a little, but like we have. I mean, this is definitely the closest we've ever had to any sort of conversation. You and I. I mean, I've hopped in your chat, you've hopped in my chat. We've talked a little bit, but I mean, this is it's definitely, it was nice. Like getting to legitimately know you on a more like personal level. So it's cool.
Yeah, it's something I need to. I wouldn't say what I need to be better at, but something I want to do more is just be more interactive with the people in the team because they're all amazing people, and I'm just so busy. Like I said, in my earlier in the podcast, I'm in my last year of college. I'm about to start my life and go get my actual job and move out finally and all this stuff. And it's like I am so busy. Like I just don't have a lot of time to really like sit down and say, hey, you want to play some games? Because I'm like doing tests or doing observations or working during school. And now that I have this whole month from December to January, I really want to sit down and like play some games with people in Pride and just interact with them more and talk with them more because sometimes I kind of feel like the invisible owner. Like Five's got all his like everybody knows Five, everybody knows Meyer. Sometimes I feel like I'm just kind of sitting there like, hey, I'm here too. But it's also my own fault just because with how busy I am, I don't get a lot of opportunity to interact with people, and that's something I definitely want to change. So it was nice to come on here and talk to you guys.
Yeah, man. And that's basically the whole point of Steve and I doing this is trying to just like facilitate people like you being able to kind of introduce yourselves to people who may not know you that well. And kind of just showcase who you are. And I think we did that really well today. So yeah, thank you so much for just being on with us and being willing to sit down and shoot the shit with us today.
Yeah. Hey, next time when you guys have me on next time, I promise my camera will be better and
Yeah, man, no
my
worries.
my goal next time is my quality to be 10 times better just for you guys.
Looking forward to it, man. Over to you, Stevie.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening to the podcast. Do me a favor. If you're listening right now on YouTube, watching the visual of this, leave a comment letting us know what you think about this. Any feedback perhaps you could have for us. And then also, if you're on any of the audio sites and if you're allowed to leave a review, leave us a 5-star review. Let us know what's going on. Because in the future, we're going to start referring to reviews and comments live on the show. It's going to be a part of our intro, so I think that's pretty cool. But
Make them funny. Make them funny. I'm not gonna read them. Steve can read them, but I'm only gonna read the funny ones.
And I'm
So make
only
it
going to
funny.
give him the funny ones to read. But yeah, I really appreciate you guys keeping up with the support of all the episodes. We've had tremendous feedbacks already about all the episodes. So thank you guys so much. Letting me live one of my dreams, which is to have a podcast like this. Pride is a great place to have it. But Ethan, where can we find you on social media, bud? Let me know.
Twitter is at Znilix. Same thing for Twitch. I don't really do YouTube or anything else like that. So that's pretty much the two main places you can find me on Twitter. And Twitch, I'll be streaming back live once I get back to school. Because as we were having the conversation before the show started, I have possibly the worst internet known to man. So I can't really stream too much when I'm back home for my break. But yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Znilix, Twitch Znilix, and then obviously follow Pride, follow the PrydeCast, follow these two amazing gentlemen.
What a beautiful guy. What a beautiful guy. Nash, what's your socials, buddy? Hit him with it.
Cool. Twitter.com/Millnash, YouTube.com/Millnash12, Twitch.tv/Millnash. Thank you, Stevie.
Yeah, no problem, man. And then you can find me on Twitter posting the dankest memes at FranchiseGFX. And then I believe I'm going to get back to streaming in this next week on twitch.tv/FranchiseGFX. So you guys can find me there. And then, like I said, follow Pride at GG Pride. Hopefully we'll get rid of the GG at some point. And then also, if you'd like to follow our podcast Twitter at PrydeCast. And I hope you guys have a wonderful week. And we will see you guys hopefully next week. We're not sure about the guests yet. This one was pretty locked in. But yeah, we should have some pretty great topics coming up for you guys. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll catch you guys next time.
See ya.
It's Pride.